Hey, what's up, guys? Matt Lighty here, and we are going to be going over a recent build I've been working on, and this is the last build before the 1 month Torment Hybrid League. That is tomorrow. As I'm recording this, when it goes out, I have no idea. So basically, the build is Cyclone with Soul Taker in the offhand to mitigate or to actually cancel out the mana cost of Cyclone that can get pretty ridiculous, effectively giving us a 7 link because you don't have to run any type of mana thing like Blood Magic, which is pretty much always associated with Cyclone. That being said, we are running a Daggers. This is a physical crit build, so we're doing Abyssus to give us insane damage, insane crit multi. This is a dagger I got for an Exalted. Just has high crit, attack speed, crit multi, and mediocre fizz. That's pretty much all you want from that. Rare. I'm using a Tabula Rasa because it's easy. You should ideally use A6 and Carcass Shack or Belly the Beast or a rare that's evasion stacking. We're stacking some evasion. We're using Aziri's Steps or Step because of the insane spell dodge, life, evasion, and the movement speed is very nice for Cyclone. Of course, Soul Taker is the bread and butter of the build. Surge and flasks. Let's take a quick look at the spell tree. All this is, of course, in the build guide below. So I'm not going to go too in-depth at it. I'm a Marauder because I had a 91 Marauder with a free respec. Ideally, you want to be Duelist or Scion or Shadow. Duelist is the best, but Scion or Shadow are very close contenders. Don't go Marauder. You basically lose 3 to 5 passive points doing so. But the main things you want to get in the build are Valpack. Valpack is good because we're a crit build, so we have large spikes of damage. We run Life Leech, and Life Regen has no effect on us because we don't have we don't care because we're not using Blood Magic. We have free Whirling Blades as a movement skill. We have free fucking Cyclone, so we're not gonna. We can just spam and not normally deal with having to drop our life from Blood Magic and not have a way to regenerate it. Art of the Gladiator is pretty much key for this build. Picking up as much crit nodes as we can, dual and dagger crits across the board. Ondar's Guile, along with Acro and Phase Acro, because we want to have that dodge. We get about 30 dodging of attacks, and we got 40 to 46-ish spell dodge depending on your roll of your Aziri Steps. Other notable things in the tree, the whole dagger wheel. For Aura, we're running Herald of Ash and Hatred to just boost up our damage, and Grace to give us some form of mitigation. Our chance to evade is 36%, which is basically strictly from Grace. I don't have evasion gear, that's because of that. 40% chance to dodge, and 43% chance to dodge spells. It's pretty sweet overall. And our health is pretty low, 3,200 at the moment. Again, this is with Tabula Rasa, and you easily have the ability to grab these life nodes that are in the thick skin, herbalism, and of course just 3 points to get to Constitution, which is still effective. So all those life nodes are at your fingertips. You can also go get Written Blood if you choose to. That's fine. Again, it's be more effective as Duelist, Scion, or Shadow. So let's dive into this. We're going to do a map real quick like. Let's do the shipyard I rolled. Pack size nice, magic find nice, chilled sucks. Quad projectiles is a bit of a bitch, and lightning damage also can hurt since we're susceptible to basically being one shot. For any real gems and links, running cast and damage taken, Moral Call, and Assassin's Mark just because it helps, not hugely, but it's nice. Vengeance with Endurance, Charge and Melee Stun is also kind of nice. We have Life Leech. It actually chunks for a decent amount. With Life Leech, it helps enhance Whirling Blades, pretty standard. Val Haze, Fel Grace, increased duration. This is very good for an Aziri build. This is a great Aziri build. Again, Grace Link, and for our supports, we have Physical Lightning, Weapon Elemental Damage, Life Leech, Melee Physical, increased AoE, which you can swap out for Conk Effect when doing bosses such as Aziri, and of course, Cyclone. Taste of Hate is preferable, possibly. I would say Taste of Hate is better when doing Aziri, worse for mapping, because the Life Leech can be nice. Boop, doop, doop. Let's do this map. I sense, possibly, maybe I'll die. We'll find out. We got an unlucky mob set. But, it's a relatively safe build. You could face tank reflect as long as you're running Life Leech and have decent to mediocre you know, damage. Shield ground is a bit of a bummer with Cyclone, but overall it's still pretty nice. Running a Jade Flask to give us over 50% evasion. It's super duper helpful. Definitely preferable to a Granite Flask. Again, Roomies is also a mediocre choice considering we have Acro, so our block is already cut down and neutered pretty much, but not a horrible choice overall. You could run a normal Granite, I just don't see the point. You're not really, it's just not worth it. Evasion is better to go. It's also probably preferable to have one Surgeon's Flask if you want for healing, Life Flask. I personally like double Seething Staunching because you're not really going to be able to like slow roll a flask because of how little health you have and how you're a phase acro build pretty much. You know, it just makes it a little difficult to get that that life you want to slowly kind of tick up. Hey, that really a 1%? Alright, that was not 1%. 1% Viper Strike. Best Lids EU. For Aziri, even for the triple phase, the trio fight, it wasn't an issue. You can just face tank it, you know. Between Val Haste and Discipline, it's ridiculous how tanky you actually are. I mean, it's not really tanky, it's like sideways tanky, but like I just face tanked, reflect, it's not really an issue. Clear speed's pretty good, like most Cyclone builds. I don't particularly like Whirling Blades as a movement skill because we don't have an insane amount of attack speed. You could always get more. I always say if you wanted to and you had, you know, I'm not soft, this is standard at the moment, but you know, you could always run haste instead of grace. It's the same percentage of mana reserved. You're just kind of asking to die it sometimes, but that's fine. If you're lacking DPS and you feel like that's a smart move, go for it. I tested it out, it's not horrible. Just quickly kill the boss here. To give you some idea of how this, yeah, I mean, it kills most things in a couple seconds. This is with not conk effect, so I have increased AoE on. And it's still that fast of a clear. We'll finish clearing a couple more things so I talk. For leveling, I suggest either you can just get a Might Flay at 35, you know, do whatever you can to get to 35, get a Might Flay, and you can just go Reeve. Or you can go Cyclone with Face Breakers. Well, here's a Reflect physical. Yeah, it's, again, you one-shot pretty much everything. Yeah, you can just get, if you stack Elrond Jewelry, you could mitigate the cost of Cyclone with no leaks. That's pretty good, even, you know, with just a Might Flay, dual-wield Might Flays, something like that. I wouldn't suggest going crit until about 70, 75 to have some gear to back it up. So I wouldn't, it's definitely a build you don't want to level into. That's a good place to end that pretty much. But yeah, it's a good build. You don't want to level. You know, it's a crit build, obviously. So again, low floor, high ceiling, expensive. No, majority of crit you gain is from the tree and from the dagger. I have no real crit on my gear, chance wise, no crit on gear at all. And my crit chance, it's 78%, low chance to hit. But you know, again, I have no crit chance on gear. And it's still at high. It's just because daggers are fucking king still. You can get 10% crit dagger, even if it wouldn't be that hard. There's not much more crit chance to grab. I'm pretty sure I have it all. I don't know if it's even possible to go up and grab Disemboweling, but you could. I wouldn't, personally. You have all you want. If you want more crit chance, what I can suggest for some reason, you can go up in here and grab the fencing. I would say the upper nodes are definitely better than the lower nodes. And similar to Deadly over here, there's 25% chance there. If for some reason that really would put you at cap, but you can easily achieve cap with 2 diamond rings and a necklace with crit chance on it. It's not even necessary. Honestly, you can get to level 90 and have 4k health with little difficulty. And on a 5 link, you'll still be running, over 30k DPS with just, these auras. You don't need mana because you're using Soultaker. I would not consider doing this build without Soultaker. This is not a build that's budget, but it's not about crazy expensive. My gear at the moment is worth about 10 Exalted, 7 of which was in that Soultaker. So, in a new league, you can pick up a Soultaker cheap-ish. It's not a very desired weapon often nowadays. Aziri Steps is worth nothing. Same with Abyssus, is an Exalted max if it's a really good roll. So this is all cheap stuff. Tabula Rasa is cheap, and it has no problem running Tabula Rasa. You could easily do the start of this build when you do 50% crit. Prioritize getting accuracy on rings. It's big. Accuracy in all res. You could also even run Malagaro's gloves if that, if that's your bag. If you wanted to. It's a bit difficult to run them because you kind of don't really have anywhere else you want to get all res because your boots and helm are going to be taken up. But you could, if you have really, really good jewelry, you could definitely run Malagaros. Ideally, best case scenario, again, you'd have that Aziri's Acuity, and you can save yourself 5 points, which is actually pretty good. Alternatively, if you want more crit and accuracy, the Eagle Eye section is not really efficient at all. But, if you really that downtrodden and need more crit, that's your go-to place most likely. That about finishes up the build. Any last thoughts? It's stupid damage. It's stupid damage. Literally with this build, if for some reason you get tired of Cyclone, it has the potential to remove Cyclone, remove Physical Lightning, toss in Multi-Strike Reef, you have Soultaker Crit Reef. Same thing with Splash and Dual Strike, you have a build like that. It's really, really easy to just swap in and out these dagger builds that are focused on AoE Crit Valpak, any dagger build in this scenario. Someone asked me, could you do this with Bringer of Rain? Yes, you could. It seems like quite the waste to use a Bringer of Rain. Namely because of acrobatics, you're getting, 30% less chance to block. It's just a bit of a waste. And Abyssus is really the way to go. If you don't have Abyssus, if you don't have Aziri Step, if you don't have Soultaker, and maybe 1 or 2 X to spare, I wouldn't bother going into the build for any reason. It's just, yeah, you could easily play this build as a Reeve. You could even grab here and grab Resolute Technique if you honestly wanted to. Just prioritize getting Constitution first. Take these, 7 nodes, go out of the way. When leveling, get Resolute Technique. As you progress, use your allotted refund points that you get from questing. Refund that when you have the appropriate funds to get a Soultaker or an Abyssus and a Aziri Step and get mediocre even crit gear. I would say after you get Soultaker, an Abyssus, and Aziri Step, all of which these cost nothing, this is the big spend. Tabula Rasa is fine. This build definitely is very, very strong with links, although it is a melee build, still very powerful with links, and just spend 1 or 2 Exalt and a dagger. Good to go. You really are good to go. I think that about wraps it up, guys. I'm Matt Lighty as always. Build guide is in the description. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. And Hybrid League starts as of now when this video is going to be coming out. So I'll be streaming mostly all the time. YouTube content will be far few in between. Mainly be stream highlights, but as the end of the league comes to a close, I'll do a breakdown of the build. I'll showcase the rewards and how I went about doing things.